Hi, so we will review the NQ chart reading today. So I primarily trade on price and volume chart reading using Wyckoff process. So primarily on the price and then the volume chart reading process. Okay. So we'll focus on the US session, but I'm going to quickly go over the overnight session to see any key levels. So this plus line is my yesterday's high. You can see YH yesterday's high, and so you see that it kind of went sideways the entire night, and it couldn't even test this yesterday's high anytime. So the morning, what I did was I drew these two lines. One of them is the yesterday's sorry, the overnight low, and the other one was the overnight high, which was around 11981. I removed it later on because it was not useful for me, but this was useful, so I kept it. But we'll go over the US session primarily. Okay. Today was really good day. Actually, there was a lot of clear opportunities. So okay. So as we see that it never broke it never got even tested this yesterday's high, and so in the morning I'm in Pacific. This is my 6:30 is my US Open, but just prior to that one, there was a strong supply around 4:45 Pacific, and then afterwards a weak rally upwards, right? So far, even like when it tried to break this high of this rapid down bar, it couldn't. The supply came up and then pushed it down. So now proving that supply is there in the background. So supply is very strong in the background now. Okay, so our expectation is it will go down, and this is when the Fed started like 6 a.m. 6 a.m. is Pacific timing. This is the time around which Fed started, like the news. It's his speech is started, and then it came down, and then obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. So, and then afterwards, when Fed said that he's not going to change much interest rate, and the inflation is going to stay same, it went up. So of course, like we are going to stay away. We don't know which way it's going to go up. So it broke the resistance, which are yesterday's high, and then there was no follow through after this one. See this bar? There was no follow through, and then it came down. So in fact, actually, if you have seen this two bars, right, it feels like as if it's a strong up bar, strong buying, and then afterwards a weak selling towards support. Probably this is where you can take a long. This is what our expectation, but because Fed news are very volatile, we don't trade just because of the news. That is why we skipped it. And then also this is our US Open, so we don't know what's going to happen in the US first with 2-3 bars. So a lot of people are trying to get their trades fulfilled. So and then see what happens. A strong supply comes up, breaks down the resistance, breaks down the support, and then firmly closes below. Okay, when what happens? You remember this overnight, the blue line that I drew from the overnight one? It came in, got tested, and then there is some demand. It came in, okay, and then it broke down that strong the overnight low, right? Overnight low, and then it started holding, going sideways after that. Okay, see that one? This started going sideways. So they started going up. This is where one of the trades that you could take it. I couldn't take this trade because I'm still not convinced because of the Fed, whether this was due to the Fed down move or and really good chart reading or not. So that's why I did not take it. So again, so it goes up. So again, as it starts going up, you see the volume starts declining, and see this bar. This is the lowest volume in the morning, and then it gets rejected when it starts going from the high to down, right? And this is where you can take a shot. I still did not take the shot because of, see, I'm still not convinced about this whole Fed thing. Whether that's the reason I wanted to make sure that before I took a trade. Because when I see such huge rallies like this, right, based on news, I am skeptical. I give it the chart a little bit of time to stabilize before we can start trading. That is the reason why the morning session I kind of held on a little bit. Okay. So they started coming down. I drew this channel, and then you see that it came around the support now, which is our morning low, and then the volume came up. So this volume, it came up and then held it, right? So if this volume was all selling, the bar would have closed similar to this bar, right? Similar to this long length down bar, but instead it closed in the middle. It's a narrow bar, meaning that there is a plenty of buy. Again, so the next bar, what happens? It goes down and then it starts coming up. This is when I took a long trade, because by now I know that okay, there is a strength here, it's holding here, and then this one also, it's holding here, and in fact this is a spring. The purpose of a spring is to break the previous swing high. So this is my swing high, so the purpose of this spring is to break that one. But what happens? So as it starts going up towards this area, I took I exited here in this trade because of my supply line. I should have held it, but the reason was, I thought that today it's going to be a 6:30 to 7:30 time period. So this is almost a 7:30 bar, right? So I was expecting this to be a choppy day because the first 1 hour range closed in the 7:30 bar closed in the first 1 hour range. So that is the reason why I'm being conservative. But as you can see, as it starts going up, right? So the volume declines, meaning right from here to here, the volume declines. Meaning what? That buyers are getting weakened, especially in the last three bars, right? See this bar, this bar, and then this bar, and then these three bars, this bar, and then this bar. So you can see that bars are kind of closing at the not such high, like it's closing very close to each other. Each close is very close to each other. So this is called a shortening of thrust, and then the weak volume is saying that buyers are not strong. So this is when I felt that okay, yeah, now this is a good place to short. I shorted as it started coming down, and so I took a shot. I was here, and then and when I saw the rapid movement coming up in this bar, I exited it because the background is what now. Background, there is some strength, right? And if it is if this if the, because see, in spite of this weak demand, this is not a strong supply, meaning that the sellers are not strong, because it's just that you try to push it down. So see this volume. If the volume was like extremely high and then pushing it down, like similar with next volume, see the next bar, there's a good volume and then a good length bar. But again, after that, after supply, why is it starts coming rapidly up? So that's when I exited it again. So this time it broke the support, and you can see it started coming down, and sorry, started going up, and then I did not take a long here because this break, this see the breaking of this resistance was not strong. See the volume was weak, and also the bar kind of closed in the middle, like not in the middle, but like not it firmly on the top end. So that's why I did not take it. But as it started going up and then it started coming down. Okay, now you see this one, as it started coming down, these two bars, it's a weak bars, like weak supply bars, meaning that the supply is not that strong, and this bar comes up, right? This bar comes up and breaks down the resistance, but it was not a strong break. And then see the next bar that starts going up. See, the purpose of breaking the support is to follow through, go downwards, but instead what happens, the next bars closes back up again at the above the support. So this is where I took a long, and then my target was this one. It reached here. This is a good trade that happened. And see, as you can go, as you start going up this bar, see this bar, and look at the volume on this bar. It's a popping high volume. I mean, high volume compared to previous bars, right? So these bars, as it started coming down, the volume declined. See this bar, and this bar, the volume is declining, meaning as it starts going up, the demand is not as strong. And when this bar is supply is proving itself, because when it went up, sellers came up and then pushed it down, pushed away the resistance line. So this is where a short is taken, and then starts coming down. And see this one, this is where the channel is, the green channel that got broken, right? See this channel that got broken. But nevertheless, look at the volume, look at this huge volume. It is almost twice the volume of these previous bars, meaning that a strong demand came up. Okay, a strong demand came. So this is where I started reading these things. Okay, what am I reading? Okay, so I was thinking that probably the bars was accumulating, but there's this accumulation is happening because why? See, this bar at this stage has a strong volume. This bar at this stage has a strong volume. Again, this bar at this stage has this, when it came down to this area, it is a lot of buying is coming up, right? Buying here, buying here, buying here. So I was thinking that okay, every time it is coming through this area, it is buying. Okay, so and especially when this happens, this is typically a climactic bar, so meaning that end of the down rally. So that is where I exited. But of course, so but look what happened next, right? The sellers came up strongly as it started going up. Look at the volume, it was very weak, and then it broke down immediately and then started going down, down. And then again, this is area, some buying came up, uh, and then but it couldn't hold, it broke, and then it went down. Same, but then this bar appeared, and I was 100% sure that by now the downtrend has completed because of the climactic bar. Okay, so when this did not happen, when I expected this to be not be a climactic bar, and then this got broken, this is even our low, the morning low, and then the next bar, strong volume come, extremely high volume comes up, then the bar close in the middle. And so I to make sure that this is really a climactic bar, what did I do? And then I waited these next two bars, and then as it started going up, I took a long. Okay, okay, exited here, you know, and then because it starts going up, the bar kind of goes in the middle, exited in the middle, at this resistance because this is our overnight morning resistance, and the volume is not that strong to break it. And but what happens the next part? See this one, as it starts coming down and then closes above firmly like this one. Now our background is what? Demand, right? A lot of buying is happening in the background with this background. And then when the price came to test this area where previously strong buying happened, buyers proved themselves again by pushing the bar up with a good volume. See, the volume is good, right? So now this is a firm place to take a long again. But this time I even drew this channel, like because two touches here, two touches on this one, I drew this channel, and then I exited here again. So as it started coming down, so these three bars, right? You see these, okay, did it here, and then this start coming down. When this first bar started like closing slightly above this one, I took a long here, and then but I lost that trade, small loss. But when it started going down, but when this got firmly closed above, I took a long again, and this time I was sure, because in this time I was sure that my target was this one, the yesterday's high. Because the reason why is because of firm strong bar, sees bar or demand, demand pulling again, demand pulling. Do you see any firm close bars, any firm long supply bars? Nothing. All of these bars are very strong, meaning that buying is extremely strong. Every time it comes to this area, it is the buyers are pulling. See, this one, buyers are pulling. Now you can take blindly this long, because this is especially happening at this demand line, at the support, the channel. And then I took this one, and then I exited it here because so I knew this is the channel, right? But I was expecting this to be broken and then going all the way up. So see this bar, and this bar is when it goes down a little. Look at the volume. The volume is very weak, right? Meaning that supply is not there. Again, the next bar is there, goes on. And but when the next bar does not break and then still holding it, I was impatient and then exited it. I should have held it, because but after like couple of bars, if not much action is happening, I tend to lose patience and then get out. But this is a very good trade for me. This is a very good trade. This is a very good trade. This is a minor trade, but and this is another very strong trade. So right, so you could have there's plenty of trades that are happening. Okay, now see this one as it started going up, right? See this bar as it started going up. This is the first supply bar, right? This is the first strong supply bar. Meaning that, okay, in the uptrend, this is the first time supply is proving themselves, and this is a very good strong bar. Look at the volume; it's almost the double of previous bars, meaning that a strong selling came up, and then the next bar kind of held that one. So, and then it started going up again. What happens when it goes up again at this area where previously a strong selling has happened? Sellers prove themselves again here by pushing bar down. So, but this would have been an ideal place to trade had this been not at this green channel, because this is where is this happening at the support, right? We don't want to take the shots at the support. We want to take the shots at the resistance. Like this is a resistance, right? That is the reason why we are taking the we do not take this one. And this is a typical behavior, short, a lot of people try to short this one, and then see the next bar, see what happens. It goes down, and then even if you have taken a short, so as it goes down and then starts coming up, you exit out. Because by now, because the demand came up and then started pushing up. Okay, so now the background by this stage, by this bar, the background is selling, but this bar, the buying came up, right? Meaning what? Buyers and sellers are fighting now. We don't know who is going to win this one, so we will be staying away from these trades. That is the reason why. Had this been like a week selling or this one week selling, yeah, this is a perfect place for taking a long. But given the background, we don't take a long here, neither a short here. Thank you.